Just saying, I guess, have you locked in, have you locked into the best you can? I guess who you're going to take with the first pick?
Yes, mate. We are locked away, but it's probably a bit not like the old days where you just used to line them up and tick them off. Now with trading up or back and some chance, I'm not sure it's a massive chance of that happening. You can never be too fixed or have a fixed mindset on the player that you want to get. So we're locked in. We presented to the coaches late last week. So we've got some strategy off to the side. And I think it's a big if we may trade up or down, then we're ready for some other scenarios. But it's not like the old days when we just used to line them up and tick them off.
Yeah. Can you tell us, I guess, who's the target or?
No, well, you can't, as I said, you can't get too locked into a target in case something changes. So you've got to be very flexible. You know, there could be a move up one spot or down two spots or a big move out and accumulate some picks into the future. We've done a lot of trading in the past. So I suspect we won't do as much as we have because we don't have as much stock this year, given we've brought Dawson in. We've already got Parnell and Murray through the door as well, sort of in this year. So we don't have as much stock to move around as we've had in the other years.
Yeah, we know you had a go at, I guess, trying to get up to number one. Did you have a go at trying to get up to number two with GWS's pick, or?
We've had some discussions about that, but there's nothing locked in. No one really wants to do anything until on the night. So there was very minimal talk during the pick trade period about movement. So we're covered in case something happens on the night. But I can't answer your question that it will happen because we don't know yet. But we've had some discussions with some other clubs.
Yeah, I guess from a recruiting perspective, what do you like about a player that has been linked a lot to the Crows, Josh Rochelle? What do you like? Yeah, what do you like about him?
Oh, well, Josh, like those other players up the top of the draft, Wanganeen and Horne-Francis and Callaghan, they're very talented. He's clearly got some speed and power like some of the other boys. But again, mate, I can't get too locked into one player just in case it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and with the second pick, what we kind of what is there any plan for that one or?
Well, at the moment, there's a fair gap between our picks, you know, four to maybe 6 and then 33 and then probably one out the back. I mean, we're flexible in that we can have 2 picks and promote 2 rookies, Keys and Butts, or we can have possibly 3 picks and promote one of those guys up onto the main list. So they're all discussions we've had. We'd certainly like to look at some speed and power through the draft, and hopefully we can, address that with some of the players on our list.
Yep. Final one from me. Do you expect, I guess, any surprises before your first pick, or do you think it's going to go, I guess, the way that you're kind of planning at the moment?
Well, the way we plan and maybe the way the media and some of the mock drafts plan is probably different, but I think the names that we're talking about in the top sort of 12 or 15, I would think, and I don't know because clubs don't tell each other what they're going to do, I would think we've all got most of those same names. I wouldn't expect too many curveballs in the top sort of 15.
Beauty. Thanks so much.
Max Burford. Hello, Hamish. I hope you got me.
Is that you, Max?
Yes, got me.
Beautiful. G'day, Max.
Hey, mate. I wanted to know, last year you guys obviously had a go at Jamara just to get him off the board and get the Dogs picks off the board. If you had that sort of pick again this year, is it a no-brainer to just take Dacos for the sake of getting the picks off the board, or am I reading the room wrong?
No, that's probably a different scenario. I don't think there's a player involved in that this year. If we are to bid on Nick, it'll be because we rate him really highly. I think it's pretty clear that Jason and Nick have been the top 2 players all the way through. So if we bid on Nick, it'll be because we rate him highly and we would like him at the Adelaide Footy Club. Now, I'm sure they'll match, but if it gets to that, we're prepared to.
Beauty. And just one more from me, mate. I'm sure everyone else will ask the questions. The South Australians in this year's draft, just as an overall crop, where do you rate them?
Similar to other years, it's been a really difficult year for everyone. I mean, the good thing about the SA and WA boys is they did get to play each other 3 times. Now, some of those games were a bit diluted, if you like, because there was waffle finals on at the same time. But, I mean, great for those boys that they got to play. It's a tricky draft, clearly, because the Victorians didn't get to play. We only saw them play really one game, country against Metro against each other. So we probably had to go back to the 16s and compare the form. There'll be some South Australians drafted and clearly we're going to have some on our board, but there's some gaps in between our picks. So we'll line them up, take best available pretty much. And if we can get a South Australian in there somewhere, that'll be a bonus.
Thanks, mate. Last one. Do you guys know if has it been locked in? Is it in Melbourne?
Well,
do we know?
Our understanding is we will be in at Marvel in the normal boxes. The players will be in their states at functions within their states. I think some of the South Australian boys will be at the Adelaide Oval. The Victorian boys will be at a venue in Melbourne. So we will be in at Marvel Stadium for the first 2 days.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.
Ready?
Hamish, just on the speed and power, I think you mentioned you wanted to add a bit of that. Is it likely to be a midfield that you're looking to add that depth to with that speed and power?
I think probably, yeah, certainly midfielders and outside mids through the first pick, Tommy, and there'll be some more midfielders. If we stay at 33, I think there'll be some midfielders with some speed and power there. We'll just have to see what rolls out in the 20s. I'm sure there'll be a player I like somewhere in the 20s that'll get picked off before us. But yeah, I think across this is probably not a bad draft for players of that type. We've clearly addressed the talls in the last few years, so we think we're okay in that area.
And obviously, we expect Horne-Francis to go pick one. You've obviously, seen more drafts than most. In terms of prospective talent, it's hard to know how good he'll be long term. But in terms of talent, is he one of the best you've seen at this time in his career?
Well, his form's certainly outstanding in league footy, and it's great that he gets to play with the Panthers and in finals. So his form stacks up as well as, other pick 1, 2 or 3s that we've seen over the years. There's not much more he can do. He's played really well in senior company and he's a great lad. So, yeah, whoever picks him is going to get a ripper. I think we know who's going to pick him. So he's a beauty.
And just finally from me, I think there was a story spoken about where you offered a couple of first rounders for him in pick 4. Were you surprised North Melbourne? I mean, it was a pretty nice offer. Were you surprised they knocked it back, or I guess it's their choice?
No, not surprised. They hold pick 1 and it's up to them. They clearly rate the player highly as well. So, I think our supporters would have been disappointed if we didn't try. So we did have a try.
Brilliant. Thanks, Hamish. Good luck.
No worries, Tommy.
Theo?
Hey, Hags. I was just, the boys have covered most of it. I was just thinking, come Friday morning or late Thursday night, when you and Reedy sit down for a beer, what is it you hope to have achieved?
Well, we always look at the net result, Theo. So whilst Justin heads up the trading, and we're so pleased to get Jordan Dawson into the club, that's a great win for us. So we'll look at the net result with Dawson, Nick Murray, who's already been able to play some AFL footy, which is really good. Paddy Parnell in the mid-season draft, plus the 2 or 3 boys we add into this draft, in the national draft, and hopefully a pick in the rookie draft. Hopefully we've covered a fair bit. We've got Murray in as a tall defender. Dawson can play basically everywhere. So whatever we add in the national will really complement that. So we'll look at the net result, and I'm sure our supporters will be really excited by the 2 or 3 players that we'll bring in. And there's a possibility it could be 4, but that's probably unlikely.
Do you ever feel under the pump, mate? I know, obviously going back a few years with Jordan, the first pick didn't really turn out, and Chase took a bit of time. Do you feel under the pump to make sure you nail the first rounders?
I think last year's draft was pretty good, Theo. I mean, yeah, there's always pressure, and you want every pick to succeed. And I would love every pick that we've ever had to play 200 games with the club. Some people get picked at different ages. Some people come on at different rates. So clearly tall boys take a little bit of time. Look, you feel pressure every draft time, but we've got a great team. The guys have done a hell of a lot of work. It's been a difficult year because we haven't been able to get from Melbourne to Perth and Melbourne to Adelaide as much as we like, but we've got a great group of guys in Perth and Adelaide working with us. So, I'm really pleased and comfortable that those guys have picked up the slack from us not being able to travel out of Melbourne.
I ask you this every year. Last one from me. What's your gold medal scenario?
We've probably got a gold medal scenario in our head, but again, just because of the trading situation, people go up, people go down, we might move. It's not like in years gone by, we've put 3 players on a piece of paper and given it to no before the draft. And most years we've nearly got it spot on. But with future trading and trading at picks, it's a bit harder to get fixed to that. I've got one in my head that I hope we can get away with, but I'm not going to tell you at the moment.